Hi, I'm John Rabel, the founder of Launch, which is a legal and business advisory firm for small and mid-sized companies. I thought I'd touch on a couple of areas today that businesses often overlook. You're a business owner running a small business, you're wearing a bunch of hats, marketing, product or service development, sales, whatever the case may be. And certainly legal gets overlooked a lot of times, especially if you're not facing a dispute or a lawsuit. But there are a couple areas I think that can turn out to be big risk factors for companies and might need to be addressed sooner rather than later or be top of mind in order to reduce some potential serious risk. So I thought I'd cover a few of those just to make sure people are aware of them and sort of know that they should look after them. The first one being failing to get your corporate formalities correct. This is a very common issue. A lot of small businesses are set up either as an LLC or as a corporation. They may have filed their paperwork with the state, which is a great first start, but haven't taken the next steps that they need to in order to set up the corporate formalities, which could be something along the lines of an operating agreement or bylaws, making sure you're holding meetings if that's necessary, or documenting major corporate events. So making sure you've got that system in place in order to cover your corporate formalities and keep your personal limited liability in check would be a great way to limit some risk. Another big area that's coming up, and this is becoming more and more important, is misclassifying workers. So this is a major issue for a lot of states and also for the federal government. Whether you're classifying workers correctly, what I mean by that is whether you're classifying them as an independent contractor or as an employee. Oftentimes, businesses want to classify workers as independent contractors. They think there might be a lot of benefits, both from a tax standpoint and from a management standpoint, that makes that decision more attractive. The flip side of that is it can sometimes be hard to classify a worker as an independent contractor. Certain tests have to be met, they have to be managed a certain way. If you're not able to do that, then the worker is going to be classified as an employee. So you want to make sure that you're addressing each situation on a case-by-case basis to get the classification correct. You don't want to be on the wrong side of an audit where you're found to have misclassified some workers, then you're facing penalties, fines, back pay, a lot of extra money and time wasted for getting that wrong. And those types of audits are on the rise, particularly against small business owners. So that's an area to really watch out for. Another trap that I see oftentimes is small businesses thinking that they don't have any legal or risk issues because they're not facing a lawsuit. And don't get me wrong, it's great that you're not facing a lawsuit. But you could have a variety of risk or legal issues you're not aware of. Regulations and laws change all the time. So, compliance is important with that, staying on top of those things, making sure you're adjusting accordingly. If you're using contracts that are poorly written or really not in your favor at all, that's a huge risk. And every time you continue to put those contracts out into the marketplace, you're just increasing your potential risk. So just because you're not facing some sort of dispute or lawsuit doesn't mean your business doesn't have any risk. Every business has some sort of risk. It's inherent in running the company. So take some time, figure out where your risk areas might be, regularly review them, see how you might be able to tighten things up or address potential issues before they pop up. So along the lines we just mentioned, contract management. Not managing contracts is another big risk area for companies, and they can save themselves a lot of trouble. They take a little bit of time, set up a process, and manage contracts. And so what I mean by managing contracts is how often are you having them review to make sure they're up to date with best practices or any changes in the laws? What's your process for getting them written, getting them sent out to customers or clients, getting them signed? And then making sure that you know what the renewal or termination options are. You don't want to get caught in a situation where a contract automatically renews. It's for a service you may have never used. Now you're out a whole bunch of money because you can't easily terminate it, and you've got to renew it again for another term. Could be up to a year. So really making sure you've got a handle on how you're managing your contracts, making sure they're compliant, they're working for you, and then getting them out and signed quickly. It'll help you turn over more business. And then I think in general, keeping an eye on legal as sort of a regular aspect of your business. Most businesses, I think at this point, accept that accounting or marketing is a business system that they've got to regularly keep an eye on. Keep your accounts up to date. Keep your marketing processes up to date. I think it's really beneficial to small business owners to think of legal in the same aspect. It's a business system. There are ways to set it up where it works for you, helps protect your business, helps you recognize opportunities, take advantage of situations that could be beneficial to you. That way, you're not caught in a situation where you're facing an issue or possibly a lawsuit. You're already behind the ball to get started there. You're going to be out a lot more time and money as opposed to treating it as a regular system where you're staying on top of laws, regulations, best practices, and you're adapting company policies, procedures as needed in order to make sure you're doing the best thing to limit your risk. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at jrabil, that's JRABIL, at launchstrategylegal.com or 804-442-6090.